I know it's mostly legends, but what about Dromund Kaas? Okay, so Dromund Kaas exists in both canon and legends. Now in canon, there's really not that much. It was considered a myth once upon a time, but later believed to actually have existed in reality. According to the historian Beaumont Kin, during Palpatine's rule, he was thought to have travelled to Dromund Kaas, all in the search for ancient Sith artifacts. Now this assertion was based on the discoveries that was made by the Exegol Excavation Project, which unearthed significant Sith relics on Exegol. But that's all we have in canon, but in legends, we have so much more. Now, Dromund Kaas had one sun and 2 moons, and it was also found in the Sith world's region of the Outer Rim's Estrin sector, and this place was shrouded by the Stygian Caldera, which is a very dense nebula that isolated the system. By the time of the Great Hyperspace War, Dromund Kaas was a planet that was primarily covered in thick jungles and expansive oceans. When the remnants of the Sith Empire arrived on this planet approximately 5,000 years ago, they were then forced to protect themselves from the wild jungles, and from the planet's dangerous creatures in order to build a new society. While Kaas City and a few other settlements emerged on the planet's surface, the majority of the land remained a very hostile wilderness, filled with jungles, swamps, oceans, but the atmosphere was constantly charged with electricity. This was a consequence of the Emperor's dark side Sith experiments that led to frequent lightning storms in the perpetually overcast sky. But centuries after the galactic war between the Sith Empire and the Republic, Dromund Kaas saw even further transformation. The jungles were gradually overtaken by the swamps, flooding much of the planet. Although the planet's atmosphere became more breathable, it did remain a very hot and humid world. Giant dark trees grew in the swampy waters, their trunks clustering together to form canyon-like thickets that's covered in vines. It was these areas that became inhabited by the Ysalmari, reptile-like creatures that naturally nullified the Force. The entire planet was bathed in both the dark side, with powerful Force nexuses located at key sites, the Dark Temple and the Dark Force Temple. These were places where the dark side of the Force were particularly concentrated. Now, Vitiate made an unverified claim about Dromund Kaas. He said that this was the true homeworld of the Sith species, and that led to the Empire's colonization of the planet after the death of King Adas. The location, however, was lost for centuries, until Vitiate's forces rediscovered it following the Hyperspace War in 4980 BBY. Upon returning, Vitiate declared the rebirth of the Sith Empire, and of course he placed himself as ruler. He led military campaigns to clear the wilderness on the planet, and of course to construct the capital of Kaas City. Now later on in 3960 BBY, the Jedi Revan and Malak had discovered Dromund Kaas, but they were captured and corrupted by Vitiate. Revan, later redeemed, had sought to confront Vitiate, but after a failed rebellion he was then imprisoned on Dromund Kaas, until he was rescued by his ally Mitra Sirik. But after Vitiate's hibernation, the Sith Empire was left in turmoil, with Darth Maul taking control. The Eternal Empire of Zakul invaded the Sith Empire. This then led on to Darth Asena's rise as Sith Empress, and pushing forward in the year 9 ABY, Kal-Katarn, he had discovered the planet's history, and he battled Sith abominations in the Dark Force Temple. His apprentice Mara Jade had eventually rescued him, and they fled together. Pushing even further into 44 ABY, Luke Skywalker and other Jedi had confronted the lost tribe of Sith on Dromund Kaas, defeating them despite the planet's dark side influence. But the legacy of Dromund Kaas remained largely hidden, with its true significance only uncovered by a few key figures over time. All I have for you. Hope it helped.